This should not be a hot take. Deandre Ayton through 3 rounds has been the MVP of the Phoenix Suns playoff run. No, he's not the team's leading scorer. In fact, he's not even second in that stat. And when he does score, he's not creating insane looks for himself that show up on all of the highlight reels. But the way that Ayton has stepped up defensively for the Suns and entered a different challenge in each series up to this point has been nothing short of remarkable. Every series, he's showed us something new. Against the Lakers, it was engaging in a battle of the bigs, not being physically drained by a combo of Andre Drummond and Anthony Davis. Against the Nuggets, it was going toe-to-toe with the league MVP, miraculously matching minutes with Nikola Jokic without once getting into foul trouble. Against the Clippers, it was vanquishing the dreaded small ball lineups, contributing on both ends in a way that allowed him to stay on the floor against quicker players. Ayton is currently shooting 71% from the field of the playoffs, meanwhile holding all of his opponents to a combined 38%. You couldn't ask for a better start than that. And yet here we are, Game 1 of the Finals, once again calling on Deandre Ayton to play to his full potential one more time if the Suns want to go all the way. As of the time of recording and editing this video, Giannis Antetokounmpo is considered doubtful for Game 1 of Suns-Bucks. Additionally, all signs point to Ayton matching up on Brook Lopez, at least initially. Despite those facts, you can't game plan the Bucks without considering the looming presence of a 2-time MVP, and we can't discuss how to stop that MVP without first examining the fascinating history that he has with Ayton specifically. The very first time that Giannis and Ayton went head-to-head wasn't very memorable. That's because back then, in November of 2018, Ayton's defense wasn't in a place where anyone even thought sicking him on Giannis could be a good idea. Suns coach at the time, Igor Kokoshkov, tried to match up Giannis against wings like TJ Warren, Trevor Ariza, and rookie Mikal Bridges, but in that first game, that proved disastrous. Giannis shot 14 of 16 from the field with 35 points in this game, dunking on the entire Suns roster repeatedly to an embarrassing degree. Clearly, when the two teams met up again a few months later, adjustments would have to be made. And that's when we got a first taste of a little bit of magic. Giannis facing up from behind the three-point line, poised to strike, and there was Ayton several feet in front of him, challenged by Igor to wall up and contain the penetration to the best of his ability. Despite being a generally terrible basketball team, the Suns won this second game, and Giannis was held to 21 points on 8 of 14 shooting, in addition to fouling out and committing 6 turnovers. That didn't mean that Giannis couldn't still score with a variety of transition attacks or difficult side-to-side moves. But his brute force drives simply weren't going to affect a player as strong as Ayton in the same way, and that encouraged him to shoot more pull-ups, another win for the Suns. Fast forward 2 years later, and this became the predominant way that the Suns guarded Giannis in 2 more regular season wins over the Bucks. And statistically, there's plenty of evidence at this point to say that Deandre Ayton is among the best Greek freak stoppers in the NBA. In his career, Giannis is shooting just 14 of 35 from the field when attacking DA. When you add in all of his free throw chances, it amounts to just a 51% true shooting percentage, a very far cry from the 60% or higher rates we're used to seeing from him. Besides being completely massive and relatively nimble, Ayton succeeds here because of how he places trust in his body. His job is to absorb blows and stay vertical, contesting the shot without placing himself in too vulnerable of a position. It's a tough line to walk, but he can make it look effortless. Look at how this late-game post spin, which could so easily pulverize a smaller wing, does nothing to move Ayton whatsoever and forces a jump ball. This doesn't mean that Milwaukee won't have tricks up their sleeve to keep Giannis effective. They'll look to involve him as a screener, trying to catch Ayton in no man's land like you see here on this lob. Or, here's an example where Drew sets a back screen in tandem with Giannis's roll, setting up a favorable matchup that Giannis can easily attack. Still, these are all clips from Giannis without a hyperextended knee. When he comes back in this series, it's fair to assume that his downhill speed will not be quite as frightening. And that's just one more reason to be optimistic about Ayton's chances of heavily impacting this series from the defensive end. Like I said at the beginning, there's going to be a lot more on Ayton's plate here than just guarding Giannis. If he starts games on Brook Lopez, he'll need to contain his shot on the perimeter while also maintaining a presence under the rim to deter Bucks smalls. That right there is a challenge, and is the sort of predicament that made Rudy Gobert look silly in his second round matchup against the Clippers. But if anyone is up for it at this point, it's Deandre Ayton. After 3 consecutive series of his life type performances, my confidence in Ayton is at an all-time high. And while I very highly doubt he has any chance of actually winning the Finals MVP trophy, say if he only scores 15 points per game, you can be guaranteed that if his defense holds steady and the Suns win this series, I'll be over here advocating for him and pointing out the impact to just about anyone who's willing to listen. That's all from me today, guys. Game 1 of the Finals is tonight. It's still insane to think that we've even arrived at this point, but I wanted to give a quick shout out to all the new people who recently found our channel or those who helped others find it by sharing a video elsewhere online. Interest in the Suns is basically at an all-time high, so it's been super fun for us, for myself, to have more eyes on our analysis as of late, and we couldn't do it without all of you guys. In the meantime, stay tuned for more finals coverage here on the channel, and also make sure to tune into our post-game reaction podcasts, which drop on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast app after every game. As always, I'll leave a link to the pod in the description below. Peace out, and go Suns.